Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Special shout out to all of you who have recently subscribed and joined us here. Welcome. What we're going through here is the text of A Course in Miracles. We're on chapter 5, section 4 of the text, which is entitled Teaching and Healing. And we'll actually be wrapping this section up with today's discussion all about sharing, with the very simple title, Share. All right. We've seen in some of the more recent videos and discussions the idea that persists throughout the thought system of A Course in Miracles, and it is a thought system that we're learning here, because we're learning to perceive correctly. We're learning to perceive truly. Right now, we most definitely, when we identify as an ego, as an individual, we don't see things as they really are. So we're here clarifying our perception. So what does sharing have to do with it? Well, that's how we keep things in our mind. We share them. We were all told, at least I think, we were all told as kids to share. It's a useful and a helpful part of our indoctrination. And I choose that word deliberately here, indoctrination, because we're conditioned from a very young age, through absolutely no fault of our own, to think that this is our reality, that what we see with these things, the body's eyes, that is what it is, and it's life, and it's real. This is how we're conditioned. It's how our school systems have taught us. It's what our parents taught us. It's what society teaches us and continues to teach us. And here we are as adults, whatever age you have reached in this lifetime, here we are recognizing that things aren't as they seem, are they? And we're undoing this erroneous perception. And it's simply an error. The ego is simply a mistake to be set aside. Enter the practice of true forgiveness, enter the practice of this course. So, sharing is something that the ego does not go for. It doesn't share. It wants to keep everything for itself, because in the ego mind, sharing means losing. It means you're out something. Classic example, you give somebody some money, you no longer have that money. That's the way the ego sees it. So it wants to tell you to keep it all to yourself, or give that money and attach some strings to it, maybe a condition saying, if you do this, then I'll love you forever. And if you don't, then I'm coming to get you, or I'll never give it to you again. I'll take it back. Yeah, giving with strings attached, very ego driven, isn't it? When we share something, in truth, we keep it in our mind. Giving and receiving are indeed the same. To give and to receive are one in truth. That is an oft quoted line from A Course in Miracles. And it's true. We're encouraged to apply this idea as we forgive the Son of God, as we forgive ourselves, as we forgive the world, space, time, the ego itself. Oh, yeah. Forgive, forgive, forgive. When we forgive, we're extending love, we're extending the Holy Spirit, we're sharing the kingdom with our brother, we're sharing it with ourselves at the same time. There is no separation of any kind. So we're recognizing that in truth, our brother has never done anything to us. Space and time have not harmed us. They haven't harmed who we are. in any way, because there is only perfect oneness. God is. And when we say that, what's implicit in that statement is very important. Only God is. And we're not separate from our source, by the way. God is the creator. But if you want to use a word like father, yeah, do that. Creator. Ideas leave not their source. You are the thought of God. So what we call a journey home is not, in fact, a physical journey at all, is it? We're not actually going anywhere. We're simply removing the barriers to our awareness of truth. That's all. So when you hear in various spiritual traditions in the world that this is, in fact, a process of undoing or unmaking, yeah, it is. We're undoing the ego. So we see here in this section of the text that Jesus listened to one voice, capital V, one voice, the Holy Spirit, and only the Holy Spirit. When we listen to our inner teacher, this implies a decision to share our inner teacher. This enables us to hear the voice of our inner teacher. Very, very important. When we share our inner teacher, when we share the Holy Spirit, when we extend love, we then become more aware of love. We hear the Holy Spirit. Our link appears to get stronger. In fact, it's never been broken. We're learning to listen to our inner teacher. Even as we have wandered far off into the wilderness of ego clinging, our link to our inner teacher has never been severed or broken. This is our inner part of you teacher that we're talking about. So as we go forward, practicing true forgiveness, we strengthen the ideas that we give away. We strengthen them in our own mind. We become more aware of them in our own mind. Layers of fog, of cloud, or bricks in a wall, if you prefer, disappear as we continue to connect with our inner teacher and share our inner teacher. We share it to keep it in our own mind. We extend love to keep it in our own mind. And the more we do, the more aware of it we become. So sharing is actually keeping and strengthening. It's not being out or losing out on anything. Completely different perspective than the ego's. So we're invited to learn this course by teaching. Doesn't mean, as I've said before, that you have to turn on a camera and microphone and create a global broadcast like I'm doing right now. This is my own particular directive. Yours may look very differently, but when this course says we're teaching, we're always teaching, whether you hold yourself out as a teacher or not in the world, because we're always interacting with one another. We're always in communication with our brother in one way or another. So the question for us then becomes, what are we demonstrating? What are we teaching? To teach is to demonstrate. So are we demonstrating the thought system of the Holy Spirit? Are we forgiving? Are we sharing joy and love with our brother? Or are we sharing, or I should say, attempting to share the ego? Are we projecting our own deep-seated fear and guilt? Are we shooting off dirty looks and a very, very harmful series of tirades or an attitude that sucks, right? This is a moment-to-moment question for each of us because we're learning what we teach. So if we extend love, if we share the Holy Spirit, we're learning this course. And in practical daily life, who are you most likely to want to relate to? Who are you most likely to want to converse with? Someone who smiles and says good morning to you and is clearly loving, or someone that walks down the street with a scowl, yelling at people, maybe you, maybe flipping you off, maybe saying something nasty, or at best is scowling, hunched over, and very to themselves in a fog of rage or frustration or anger, whatever it may be. Which person are you most drawn to? We're invited to be that person that is loving, that is forgiving. So we give in order to keep these ideas of love, of forgiveness in our mind. This course is all at the level of the mind. You'll notice that it's not concerned with physical objects in any way, is it? It's not concerned with having a better, hotter, sexier body. It's not concerned with having business success and cars and houses and fame and fortune show up in your life. They may not. That's really not the point. This is not a course in manifestation of physical objects. It is mind training, and we're rearranging our perception. That's what this course is about, is seeing things as they are rather than how we would have them be, rather than the world of frustration and aches and pains and separation and conflict that we appear to inhabit. So we forgive, we extend love in order to increase it in our mind, in order to become more aware of it in our mind, in order to keep it in our mind, keep it top of mind by practicing true forgiveness of the Son of God. Share the Holy Spirit with the Son of God. And as this particular section closes, we're given some very, very loving and encouraging words here by Jesus, who says he has saved all of our kind and loving thoughts for us. Now, it's true that the only thing that we can really say is true and actual and real in this world of illusion, the only thing that is really existent are our loving thoughts. That's what's real here. Our loving thoughts. In other words, the thoughts we think with God, that Jesus has saved those for us. Our loving thoughts. All of the other thoughts are just here one minute, gone the next. And why would these be the only things that can truly be said to be real in this world of illusion? It's because they're the thoughts we think with God, and only God is. And the Son of God, you, me, your worst political enemy, your son, your daughter, people close to you, people that you'll never meet, we're all a part of this. One is indeed one. So it's very important to take away from this section of the course an understanding that sharing is the way to go. Share the kingdom. Share the Holy Spirit with your brother. That's what we do here on the path. So I thank you very much for tuning in. And above all, more than the subscriptions, more than those of you who have joined me on Patreon, more than anything else that you could ever offer anyone, I appreciate and thank you for your dedication and commitment to your practice. That's the most important offering you can ever give anytime, any place. And by the way, it's not even close. You could do plenty of physical acts of service to a teacher, or you could donate money. You could subscribe to channels. You could comment. You could like. You could pass this link on to your friends if you think they'd like, things like that. You could do all of that, but it's your practice, it's your dedication and your commitment to practice that matter the most. And it's not even close. There are people out there that you will reach better than I will reach, better than anyone else. So when you forgive, when you share the Holy Spirit with your brother, both they and you will see yourself, capital S. So let's all continue to share. The subscription button is here. That's the red arrow. I'd love to have you join me. And comments and questions are always, always welcome. So if you've got them, let me know, even if it's just to drop in and say hello. That would be fun to hear from you and where you're from too, because it's an international community. And that's really, really amazing. It's part of the beauty of the technology that we have these days is we can have conversations with people on the other side of the world whom we're unlikely to ever meet in person. So very cool stuff. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.